is Anni Cyrus. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Cyrus.
Cyrus, I'm sorry. She's an Iranian American, and she's on an anti-Sharia tour, and she has quite a story to tell us. So, Anni, why don't you come up?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here. Before I get started, I quickly want to mention something. I'm about to share my life story with you, part of my life story, and I want you all to know everything I'm about to share was a question for me myself when it happened. So I kept asking questions of why this is happening and why am I going through what I'm going through. And every single person involved with it referred me back to Quran, Holy Book of Islam. I won't read you too many verses to bore you with it, but everything that happened to me or happens to 99.9% of women under Sharia comes directly from Quran. So these aren't just some bad experiences because I dealt with some radical people. No. It happened because Quran said it should happen. With that being said, I was born and raised in the Islamic Republic of Iran. It is very important not to say Iran or Iran. You always have to say Islamic Republic of Iran. Reason: 1979, there was a revolution. Ayatollah Khomeini hijacked the revolution and turned the country into Islamic country. Starting that moment, the constitution changed into Sharia, being a combination of Quran, Hadith, which is stories of Muhammad, and Sunnah, which is life of Muhammad and how he lived life. Every law in the country comes from those three sources. I was born after the revolution, therefore I was born into the Islamic society of it. On top of that, my father was a sheikh. Sheikh is a step higher than imam. So he was kind of a lawmaker, Islamic lawmaker. So I suffered under Sharia at home, and I suffered under Sharia in society. When I was about 9 years old, I got an invitation from a school to an event, ceremony, where they put me in this hijab or burqa, color white, and they took me into a place where the ceremony was taking place. It was called Requirement Day, and as soon as I walked in, there are a lot of other 9-year-old girls. At the same time, in every city of the country, this ceremony is taking place. An imam came up, started preaching, talking, citing Quran, and he went on saying, starting right now, all of you 9-year-old girls under Sharia are adult women. You will obey Sharia, you will follow Muhammad, you will die or kill in the name of Allah. You are responsible for your actions. You will face consequences. And on top of all of that, if your male guardian, being either your father, your father's father, or your brother, if your male guardian decide that it's time for you to get married, you will do so. I'm not going to even try to tell you how I felt because that's very complicated. But one thing was definitely on my mind. In a split second, I need to switch from being a little girl into being an adult woman. Starting that moment, I was put in prison for a crime such as singing loudly in public, unknowingly, better my hair showing from my hijab behind, had nail polish on, went to a party when girls and boys were in the same room, and on, you get the picture. It was all I was a bad girl committing crimes. So I was put in prison, I was lashed, I was raped, and by the time I reached age 14, close to 14, since I was a bad girl, bringing too much shame to the family, my father decided it's time to get rid of me. So I became what's known as a child bride. He told me I am going to be married off to this guy. Never met the guy until that moment, and that was that. I cried, I begged, I tried to fight my way out of it, and then I simply ended up saying, well, why? Why can you do that to me? And that was when my father said, well, open the Quran go to chapter 4 and look at verse 3, where Allah said, you can marry an infant girl if you can pay for her the same amount you would pay for an adult woman. He's paying good money. My price was 50 American dollars, exactly American dollars. He received American dollars. And some opium so he could feed his habit for a month. And that was the moment I realized, yes, I am a property, because I was just sold by my father, who's supposed to protect me, who's supposed to die for me. The man who bought me used me as a punching bag. For whatever excuse he could find, he would beat me. He would rape me every day. Until one day I went back to my father and said, Dad, can you at least get him to stop beating me? He referred me back to Quran, chapter 4. By the way, chapter 4 is the woman, name of the chapter. Where it says, if you think your wife is going to disobey you, warn her, separate your bed, then beat her until she obeys you. So if you don't obey, beat her until she's not breathing anymore. So, one day I decided I'm going to just protect myself. He was done beating me, he left. I had a dislocated shoulder, bloody lip, bruised face, went to court, walked in, looked at the judge, said, Your Honor, you have got to save me because this man is going to kill me at some point. And please keep in mind, I am 15 years old, not this adult woman. He looked me in the eye, said, Young lady, maybe you should start obeying your husband so he doesn't have to beat you. Now go home and make him happy. And that was the moment I realized that's it. It's either he's going to kill me or he's going to kill me. Nobody's going to protect me, nobody's going to defend me. Why? Because nobody dares question Allah, Muhammad, or Sharia, or the Islamic regime. So lucky me, I had a grandmother who got me out of the country, got me smuggled out of the country, went to Turkey, waited my term through proper channels, came to America, and back in 2010, I became a very proud American citizen, so I am not doing this to... So, just for the record, I'm not doing this to get my green card. I started speaking publicly after I became an American citizen. Now, why did I do that? Because when I became an American citizen, officially now I'm American. So, I'm a free woman. I have the First Amendment, so I can say whatever I want to say. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. We are facing a very serious issue called Islamization. They are turning our country into Islamic country. I'm not free to say what I say. Last 2 years and a half of speaking out publicly have earned me 9 fatwas, also known as bounties. They are willing to pay for me to be killed, so I can't speak out anymore. I went to police, FBI, they're not going to do anything for me.
That's right.
All I hear is, why don't you stop saying things you're saying? So I guess we don't have a First Amendment anymore. With that being said, biggest problem that we have is Islamization. The reason we are not facing it, and the reason we don't have a solution to it, is because we are too worried about hurting their feelings. So we go with things like moderate Muslims, radical Muslims. Not all Muslims are bad. No. It has nothing to do with Muslims. It has everything to do with Islam. Islam is what makes Muslims. So if we deal with Islam and Sharia, then if there is someone who wants to continue being a Muslim and continue obeying Sharia, they're more than welcome to do that, but they can't do it in this country, which is a free country. Because under Sharia, you have no control. As a woman, you're half a person. As a man, you still have to obey Muhammad's footsteps. Quran chapter 33, verse 21 says, Muhammad is the perfect example of a man, and you should follow his footsteps. Words of Allah, not mine. If you look into any Islamic country, any of them, even though here in America they will tell you, people like members of CARE will tell you they hijacked Islam. that last terrorist misunderstood Islam. But the question is, how is it that for 1400 years, every single Islamic country got it wrong? Then who got it right? Until somebody come out and tell me the exact right words of Allah and what it means, I rather not have it around, because I am dying. I am done hearing about Americans dying in numbers of 20, 30, 50, when there's only one Muslim being blown up. So we're losing Americans to all of those who got Islam wrong. To this moment, from March 2013 to March 2017, based on the record of Islamic Republic of Iran's registered office, over 178,000 girls were registered as brides under age of 15. And over 980,000 were registered between 15 and 18. If anybody wants to say child bride doesn't exist, well, it does. I'm a former child bride. And it still does. It's not 1400 years ago Muhammad had a 6-year-old wife. No. 2017, there are still Muslim men with child brides. And if you think it's not happening in America, yes it is. Because under Sharia, you don't need a legal system of a country to marry someone. You go to a mosque, and an imam will do the ceremony. And right there and then, she is your wife. We do have honor killings here, we have acid attacks here, and all of them comes from Quran. Again, I don't have enough time to go into details of all the Quran, Hadith, Sunnah, but I do have an upcoming event on Sunday, so if you want to hear more about it, you can, it's 4:30 to 4 to 5:30. Actually, she has all the details if you don't mind asking her. But I will get into more details on Sunday. For today, I just want you to know Islamization is as real as it gets. It is happening. It happened to my motherland. Iran was known as mini America and Middle East until 1979. And 38 years later, they have child brides, they have victims of honor killing, they have women who are forced to wear the hijab, because again, it comes from Quran. There's no such a thing as optional hijab. It's mandatory. Quran says, if you don't wear the hijab, you will be sexually assaulted. So to protect yourself, you wear the hijab. All of that happened to my motherland, so it will happen here unless everybody's willing to, one, hear people like me, hear my story, and then leave here and go tell other people about my story. Let them know real survivors exist, and worse than that, real victims exist, who don't have the chance that I have. They may not be able to get out of the country, they may not be able to get out of their families, so they're either stuck as a slave, sex slave to be exact, or they end up being killed by their husband or father for bringing shame to the family. And I understand, number one priority is to protect America, yes. But beyond that, we got to get beyond borders and realize human society is suffering from Sharia. Every rule of Sharia goes against human society. Everything they do is against the Declaration of Human Rights. Simple as that. And again, don't take my word for it. Grab a Quran, read it. Go read Hadith. Go look at civil codes and penal codes of every Islamic country. Actually, they are available in English. Online, you can look it up. Islamic Republic of Iran Civil Code, where it does say the age of majority for girl is 9. It literally says in a civil code. And it does say, if a male guardian decides to marry her off before age of 9, it is proper. So it doesn't even have to be 9. There is no age of marriage. You can marry an infant, you just can't consummate the marriage until she's 9, because that's what the perfect example of Islam Muhammad did. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, please stop referring to it as anything but Islam. Problem is Islam. And if you're not willing to call it what it is, as I heard, if you don't know your enemy, you can't fight your enemy. Right now, our number one enemy is Islam. I understand the separation between left and right. I get it. But that's not our number one priority. Priority is to call Islam, stand up and talk, speak out for the victims. Give them voice because they don't have a voice. That's what I do. I tell my story so you would know there is still a little Anni Cyrus left in Iran who might be married off tomorrow at age 9, 10, 7, I don't know. whenever daddy decides to. Thank you.
Yes, in your opinion, what is the fascination that the American left has with Islam, the sympathy they seem to have with them?
They don't have a sympathy with Islam. The agenda of left is to burn America down as we know it and build their delusional utopia. What's the best way to burn America down? Sharia.
Up and back.
How do you feel about Sharia courts being established in Western countries? I take a look at England, which has a dual court system.
Well, basically how I feel about it is that not enough Western people are taking their country serious, and not enough people know the laws of their land, because there's an easy way to stop it from happening, but I guess not enough people care to stand up and take action to stop it.
Okay, over here. Yes.
Two questions, and thank you for your comments. First, have you encountered any communities or groups of Muslim Americans who are willing to modernize and accept our values of freedom as opposed to what you've been accurately describing? And number two, do you feel any different, or has your life changed in any way from the Obama era to the Trump era?
First question, yes, I have. But the problem is, by definition, we can't call them a Muslim community. Because in Quran says, if you try to change a single word of the law, you're not a Muslim and you're punishable by death. They are self-proclaimed Muslims, but they're not really Muslim. And that's why every single one of them have bounties on their head, because they're trying to change what is. And the second question, yes, I do. At least the difference is doors are closed to Muslim Brotherhood since Trump took office. That's the best news about it.
Tony?
I just wanted to say thank you for what you're doing. And please don't be afraid to speak up. Continue speaking out. We need people like you in this country to say this stuff. While I have not experienced anything you have, however, I sit on the finance committee for the town of Billerica, and the chairman of the Democratic Town Committee and his wife came after me and tried to have me removed, and every time I'm for reappointment, they come after me because I posted. Exactly what you just said to this group now, all the time, to try to warn people in our town. And so I don't back down, and I'm asking you not to back down either. Please don't leave people like you do.
Any other questions? Dan?
We don't have our normal agenda because we have a substitute here. Do you have
Email or contact.
do you have a
Website
social
information.
media system?
Yes, the best way to get either in touch with me or watch my videos or read my pieces is to go to liveuptofreedom.com.
Live up to.
Freedom.com.
Should write it on the board when we're ready to write.
He's gonna mind.
Good.
Any other questions? Let's take some over here.
Very, very moving statement and story, and I applaud your courage and you're willing to go forward with it. So I think there is a lot of so-called dialogue going on in some towns, as this gentleman up here spoke about Islam, and I think a lot of Americans are trying to figure out what actually is going on in that sphere called Islam. I attended a forum in my own town probably maybe 2-3 months ago, and it was sponsored by a group of Muslims in the town that were trying to demonstrate that they were wanted to familiarize people with what their position was. Now, they were Sunni. I mean, Sunni Muslims, I don't know how significant it is, whether Shiite versus Sunni, is that how it is? But one woman who spoke was a lifelong Muslim who grew up in Weymouth and attended Weymouth High School, and was a cheerleader on the team and everything else. And she was the one that get out and said, she's the one that made the statement, a very tearful, emotional one, that my religion is being hijacked. And she says, we are not about killing people, we're not about this, we're good Americans and all this. So I'm trying to get wrapped around, and I'm not denying anything you say, I believe that. Am I, when she says that, is she misdirected about her own understanding of Islam, or is she lying to me? That's what I'd like to know.
Well, honestly, it could be possibly either.
Okay.
I can't tell you exactly, but I do know over 70% of Muslims in America have never actually read the Quran.
Okay.
They haven't. So it could be that she doesn't know what she's talking about, but even the basics, knowing the basic of Islam as a Muslim woman, you should have a problem with it.
Okay.
This lady over here has.
Thank you.
I just bought a book called My Name is Malala for my granddaughter because she's already learning about Islam and I'm not sure they're not teaching what you just said, you know. So that's one indoctrination that is going on in our public schools. This is a private school, however, in DC. And I'm wondering where do you get your support? For instance, Linda Sessor, isn't Sessor the one that speaks at the women's movement? I mean, I hear her and I say, how do women who know about freedom can have her lead their movement? And are you trying to establish like a movement of your own? You know, where do you get your support? Because it's very hard to do what you're doing.
I'm not starting a movement, no. I think I'm just doing my duty as a human. That's all I'm doing.
Do you try to go to colleges?
I do. They normally don't want me there. They turn me down. But as far as the question about Linda Sarsour, unfortunately the problem is, I'm not saying everyone, but most of people in America, they are born into freedom and they never have an explanation of what is freedom. So they have this misconception of freedom. They reach a level where, okay, I had all the freedom, now what do I do? Let me just join someone else who has no clue of what she's talking about and just fit into something that is more productive than me sitting at home and going through my Facebook. They just reach that level.
Okay, one last question.
So, you said that there were 9 fatwas issued against you, and I assume that's like order to kill you.
2 of them isn't to kill, 2 of them is from Supreme Leader of Islamic Republic of Iran for me to be taken back to Iran and stand trial. But the rest of them are
All right,
killers.
so you went to the police and the FBI, are there identifiable people for them to go after? The police or FBI? Individuals?
Well, the thing is they won't do anything about it because unless they come knocking at my door or actually get me, there is nothing they can do about it. As far as people, well, yeah, Supreme Leader of Islamic Republic of Iran, but what is FBI is going to do to him?
Okay, thank you, Annie.